I just mean in the sense of, hey, that's high praise, whether you like the movie or not. All right, so we're back on tangents. We got the man HHIC Ken Block, and we're going to talk about some Gymkhana stuff.
Today's is my list of top 10 tricks that I've ever done in the videos.
Top 10 Gymkhana tricks.
Except for Ron kind of messed with me because he says the meter has to go to 11, so he made me change it to 11. So there's 11 tricks. So number 11 is the dummy water balloon hit. This is Gymkhana 2. This was actually set up because for a couple reasons. A, I wanted to do like proximity type moment where I hit something. And I wanted to do it in such a way that we could capture it like with a phantom camera.
Right.
Because back then it was like early YouTube, and you know there was all sorts of funny videos where people were like popping balloons and doing it in slow-mo,
When
that
slow-mo,
sort of thing. And
slow-mo
I
was super new.
Today we're looking at what a water balloon looks like when you pop it.
So we came up with the idea of a balloon, and at first I wanted someone to hold it, and they were like, all right, don't want to kill anybody. So we came up with the idea of a mannequin. The way that I did it, it was a linking set of turns.
Right.
So I basically did a big left turn and then swung it back and a right turn to hit the water balloon. And it took several tries. It was not an easy thing to do.
It's definitely super trippy looking.
Yeah.
I like that the mannequin's hand just moves and the body doesn't actually move. Like the chair doesn't even inch over or anything.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have killed someone. You might have broke their hand, but
Well, eventually though, Ellis came out, Jason Ellis, and I talked him into holding the water balloon. So that's, I think, in the end, in the credits. We had a lot of fun with Gymkhana 2 because that was just like kind of a dream come true, kind of dream up everything and have fun with it video.
Yeah. So Gymkhana 1 is basically the YouTube cult classic. It's like the YouTube Fast and the Furious. So Gymkhana 2 is Too Fast, Too Furious. Oh wait, do you hate I just mean in the sense of, hey, that's high praise, whether you like the movie or not.
I won't watch it. He just insulted me like at the highest level.
Drama. That's what I didn't say it was like Fast and the Furious. I said in the regard of it being a cult classic for the people. Gymkhana 1 is that YouTube viral automotive cult classic.
See, once again, I argue with that too.
Damn it.
The next one, number 10, the big slide around Randy's Donuts.
Good one.
That's one of my favorites because like the location's epic. I grew up in Southern California. Like Randy's Donuts is just like an epic spot. The fact that we were able to get that and use it for Gymkhana 7 was really dope. When we got there and looked at it, we're like, oh man, this is actually really nice setup for like a very nice slide. And then when I did it the first time, I came so close to these certain parking blocks that the rear diffuser like hit them. And so the shot that's in the video is actually the first take and the only take, because I went to do it a second time because we actually wanted to capture how close I got to those parking blocks from a different angle, because it wasn't really caught very well except for the overhead. So I went to go do it a second time and part of the drivetrain broke.
That's crazy. One, I didn't know that was the first take. That's sick. And I remember seeing the car after gym and you can just see the diffuser. It looks like you slid it across a parking block because each of the corners of the fence were all bent in that direction. So that's sick.
All right, next one, Gymkhana 9, the train drift jump. Brian and I are always looking for drift jumps. Gymkhana 5 set this bar really high. And you know, it's a rally car, right? You know, that sort of stuff happens in rallies in Finland, on tarmac, but especially on the gravel. You know, we wanted to do something with some extra danger, and Brian just happened to find this one in Buffalo that happened to be on a train track. The situation itself was super rad, just the jump over a little train track. But then we, you know, obviously got a train, then we had to start timing it. I was only hearing one timing countdown, but there was a whole like calculation of a different countdown for the train itself to start going and then trigger me.
I was on set for that. I remember that. I was stressed for you. Like I was just behind the camera watching it happen and I was stressed for him because just how he said, Brian is directing him when to go, I think, right? And then someone else is directing the train driver when to go, and it's all based on, okay, it takes Ken this long to get from here to here, and it takes the train this long to get from here to here. Okay, action. And then Ken's here, action. And then they just meet perfectly.
I had to be really consistent when they said go and when I shifted and how I took the corner before it. Because if I was inconsistent, then all the timing would be off. Because the train was ultra consistent.
Yeah.
And then how I hit that jump, if I went a little too much throttle and it drifted outside, the car didn't jump as much. So I had to keep really consistent and keep getting further and further inside to get the right lip to get the car to jump.
Long story short, imagine having 20 seconds to be perfect.
And if I was a second off, it either looked like this giant cap or I was slamming into a train.
Jump drifting into a train.
All right, next one, the Alley-Oop 270 in Gymkhana 5. So in Gymkhana 5, we had such an amazing situation with having access to San Francisco. The fact that they were letting us go up there and film in all these amazing locations. You know, so I strategized sort of all these different things from the jump to working with Travis Pastrana, to being out on the water. There was so much cool stuff that I wanted to make sure that like there was some cool different driving stuff too.
Right.
So I came up with this idea of like, what if I could go backwards through an obstacle and then keep going a different direction? So I called it an Alley-Oop 270 because basically I turned this way, but I went that way. So in skateboarding, it's the same thing. Like if you go up a wall, instead of turning that way and coming back in normal, Alley-Oop would be that you turned the opposite way that you're going.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
We actually went and tested in a random parking lot because I didn't know how much distance I would need. I didn't know how long second gear. I got a road this wide. How much do I have to like scando flick it to get it to whip the way I wanted?
Right.
And then once we had that figured out, then we just dropped it in that street in San Francisco. I've tried to do these things that have taken my rally driving skills and mixed it in with some of the like sort of creativeness of applying it to this sort of situation, and that's one I really liked. You know, it's like moving donuts, okay, but what about adding in the object that moves, you know?
Yeah.
So it's these sort of fun and creative things that I've enjoyed doing over the years. Number 7, linked donut boxes in Gymkhana 3. So in Gymkhana 1, I did center axis donuts in a sort of box area.
Yeah.
I enjoyed doing that. That was fun. That was the first time I'd ever done center axis donuts inside something. So when we were scripting out Gymkhana 3, I was like, okay, I want to do that again, but I want to make it more difficult. So I just basically added an additional box that I did something else in. So I came in, just braked very hard, got a good weight transfer, a nice little handbrake turn around a cone. Tried to make that clean as tight as possible, and that whipped me into the center axis donuts in a donut box.
Yeah.
And it was all set up in the inside part of this racetrack in France. And so I just really liked the setting and how we were able to figure out the size of everything, and it just worked out really rad. I liked the precision driving of it and the mixing of sort of obstacles and different driving skills.
Yeah, but that was really smooth. There's not really much to say about it other than how smooth it was, because it's just like, yep.
Number 6, it's actually one of my favorite tricks. It's not that it's that hard. It's one of those things that like, it's a very visual thing. And a lot of Gymkhana 6 was about sort of these elements of obstacles that did have a lot of presence. If Hot Wheels were to make a Gymkhana set, you know, like a toy set, and you got to set things out and make a course. And that's kind of how we looked at Gymkhana 6. So the backhoes were a really cool element. And I'd seen it like a photo on the internet of like a backhoe where they lift it up by using the bucket in the arm. I'm like, oh man, that would make an amazing obstacle. So we set up a couple of those and I did a figure 8 through it. And I liked the precision of it and the size of the the gap that I had to work with that was fairly tight, and also the danger element that if I were to clip one of those, it could fall over on top of me and crush my little car.
What was that 15,000, 20,000 pound heavy machinery?
Yeah, if not more.
That was actually the first Gymkhana set that I was on, and I was on like 1 or 2 days. But I remember seeing those go up, and I'd never seen a backhoe do that, period. So I never saw the photo that you saw, but I was like, okay, this is crazy. And then you drifted through them over and over, and I'm just like, stressed for you again.
Number 5, Gymkhana 7 in the Unicorn. Doing the Lolo donuts. So when we concepted out what Gymkhana 7 would be, I grew up in the LA area, so I was picking kind of all these different things that meant LA to me.
Yeah.
You know, like from the aqueducts to downtown to the Hollywood sign.
The taco stand.
Yeah, taco stand, some of the bridges downtown, all that sort of stuff. We were looking at car culture in LA. There's so many varieties of car culture, but like I'm used to race cars. But to me, like Lolos that bounce, all that stuff is so unique to LA. And it's not necessarily something I'm into, but I totally appreciate it. And I love it as part of the culture of LA. So we wanted to bring that in and represent that as part of what we do, because we're here in Long Beach, and wanted to bring that element of a different culture into what we do. So Big John brought out his car, stood right there with it, controlling it as I came in and
he
went
even,
around him. Oh yeah,
he did a little unicorn dodge. I remember. Big John, you got some big.
That is one of the most dangerous things I've ever done with one of my race cars, because all I had to do was mess up the timing, or Big John mess up the timing, and that thing comes down on me. And
engraved imprint, a lowrider engrave on your unicorn.
Next one, number 4, drift next to Water's Edge in Gymkhana 9. The original inspiration to that actually came from Gymkhana 2. I exit the building there next to the docks and slide out to the water's edge of a big dock here in Long Beach. So for Gymkhana 9, Brian found a spot there in Buffalo where we could do that, coming out of a building, something similar, but then put the car right to the edge. So there was nothing holding me back from going over the edge.
Literally right on the edge. Another thing that I love about that is basically how you're taking inspiration from your old self for this new stuff. And it's not just him as a driver or the trick itself, but Brian as a director. Because like I watched the Gym 2 and it's a clean shot, you on the edge, but you don't really have the same feel that you have from Gym 9, where Brian specifically put a camera over the edge and low, so you could see the car and the edge. So just seeing you guys get re-inspired and taking it to the next level, driving-wise and production-wise, is sick.
Yeah, well, some of the stuff we look back at things we've done in the past and say, well, that was a really rad moment, but how can we make it sketchier? Because sketchier is always better.
He gets paid to be sketchier every time.
So that's how that came about.
Yeah.
And then it took a bunch of tries. We were very cautious on the safety side. There was actually divers in the water, an oxygen kit inside the car. So if I did go in, I could grab that and have air.
It was really intense.
It was gnarly, and it took, I don't know, maybe it was like 10 tries, 12 tries. And I would get very close to the edge and I'd be like, oh, that was it. And Brian would be like, 4 more inches. And I'd be,
And the thing about it is he's using the easiest way to do it was a center clipping point, obviously. They would set the cone up thinking, oh, this is the perfect spot for it. And he'd be right on the clip, but then he would be far off on the wall. So Brian's like, just move it all the way over here to where there's literally car, like just insane. Right?
it down to the top 3.
Yeah. And then there's going to be 6 extras because we just won't shut up.
So number 3 is Gymkhana 3, the wall ride. So it's a 51-degree bank, and I do this big wall ride and come back down. Now, as a skateboarder and a snowboarder, I love the idea of wall rides. Trying to apply what I love from like snowboarding on a wall ride to cars is
quite different.
Yeah, quite different. The physics is quite different. How grip works, everything. And the fact that like I'm inside the car and I want to go up there, I can't actually see it. So even as I turn and initiate and start sliding up the wall, I cannot see where I want to go. It's the roof. Right. The roof and the windshield banner restricted me a lot in making that video because I couldn't see a lot of times when I'm on the wall where I'm trying to go. So a couple times I just have to throw it in and see where it goes and be like, okay, I just got to throw it in harder next time.
I watched that quite a few times just because I don't understand how you can come in hot, initiate at the bottom, and then floor it all the way, no lift, and perfectly out. Because just how you said, you can't see that. You can't see where your rear end is. On a clip like that, but you managed to stay flat.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like you would know too, that like you initiate even with a rear wheel drive car and you're looking at a corner, you know where the corner is, you're like, oh, I'm going a little deep, okay, I'm gonna do this and that to adjust that line. Well, think of when that grip goes up like this.
Right.
Like everything changes all the way up. If you let off, all of a sudden you may just stop.
Right.
You know, so I had to do it a couple times to even figure out what the car was going to do. And then even coming back down, we were really afraid I might flip coming back down because I get sideways coming down. Is it going to catch and roll?
Right.
So there was a lot of variables to this. And that's why if you listen on that video, I keep it full throttle, like you said, because I was afraid of the tire slowing down and catching. So I wanted to be full throttle, wheels spinning the entire time up and around and down so that there was never that risk of a tire catching and making me roll.
I mean, that's my style. Just close your eyes and floor it.
Number 2, down to number 2, Gymkhana 1.
The OG.
The reverse entry around the cone.
For me, I'm just gonna start first. Like that video was crazy for me. I was just getting into cars and I was a drift guy from the beginning, or well, kind of. I remember seeing this, all the whole video. I was just like, what the hell is he doing? How does this work? How can somebody like 600 horsepower, which was a lot of horsepower back then, especially for the car he was driving. And then like, it doesn't make sense for a car to be able to go backwards and then go forward at that speed.
Well, the thing was, you know, that sort of turn in rally, like we'll come to these hairpins in a road, you know, or a junction of 2 roads out in the forest. And you can be very aggressive with it and it's a little quicker, or you can be safe and not as sideways.
Right.
But I always wanted to do it like as aggressive as possible. And the thing that you missed about what you said there is I was actually trying to get the car backwards around the cone.
Right.
So I'd actually flipped it 180 to where when I got to the cone, I was still backwards. So that then I would go backwards around the cone and then go forward. So in the end, like that shot captured with 2 cameras, the angles are great, really stoked about what I could do with the car. And even though it's just a simple cone there's not much danger to it. It was more of just like that action of the car backwards and going around and then forward.
That entire video was nothing that anybody filmed before, not just that shot.
Final one, number 1, Gymkhana 5. And this is like my favorite trick. This may not be everybody's favorite trick. I know a lot of our marketing crew here at Hoonigan love this because a lot of our marketing crew appreciated and loved rally for a long time. And so the influence of the drift jump really comes from watching WRC Finland forever.
Right.
Because they have these big rollers and these big turns that there's a big roller in the middle of the turn, or there's like a roller into a turn. So you'll see these cars. I can picture one very clearly of like Sebastian Ogier a year or 2 ago flying over this jump sideways and landing perfectly in the jump and finishing either the turn into a straightaway or into another turn.
Yeah, it's one thing to have to blast towards a clipping point, but to time your air towards the clipping point, that's insane. That's insane.
But we wanted to take that idea and put it in one of the Gymkhana videos. So I'd been looking for a long time for a perfect situation for that. And when we started scouting San Francisco, I was specifically looking because the thing about San Francisco is there's all these elevation changes. But this particular intersection that we found that we did this drift jump in, and it started off with, you know, the idea of like, okay, well, I've got to drive up this hill.
Right.
I've got to get the car sideways before this crest. So how much speed's that going to take? And then how aggressive up a hill am I going to be able to get the car to slide?
Yeah.
And then the exit of the corner is way on the outside, so we put some barriers out there in case I were to go wide and hit the curb. We'd have
Cushion.
Yeah, this plastic cushion. You know, so there was a lot of factors. So it took me a couple times to get up to speed. Got that shot that's in the video, probably 4th or 5th try, and it just was perfect. And Brian just called over the radio. He's like, "That's it, just stop. We're done here." You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really? It was that good?" And then I went over and watched the video with him, and I was like, "Oh man!"
And then he dropped the mic.
Yeah, that was. I looked at that. I was like, oh, it was actually better than what I was imagining.
Right.
And when that happens sometimes, like, yeah, really stoked.
It doesn't matter if you show me that clip when it came out or 10 years from now. It's one of the most bananas clips. I just love that clip. It just signifies aggressive driving to the max, like full tilt up, sideways, in the air, nail it, stay in it, pull out, keep going to the next one. It was sick. I love that shot.
Well, that's one of those moments, and that's why it's number one on our list, that like you have this idea to do something and then it comes out better than you're picturing it. And still to this day, now 5 years later, it's still my favorite moment of these videos. It's like, wow, you just never know when those are going to happen. We come up with these ideas, we try out different situations, and sometimes things are like, that just didn't work out, you know?
Yeah.
Or you're like, holy shit, that turned out way better than we thought it would. And the thing is, we've tried to actually mimic that moment again. You know, obviously Gymkhana 9, like we talked about with the train, and we tried to do it in Gymkhana 10. And we came up with an idea, we attempted to do it, and it just didn't work out. And that's life, and I talk about that in Gymkhana Files, that like, there's these moments that we strive for, but just because you come up with the idea doesn't necessarily always mean you can execute it.
Right.
You know, but that's also fun for us too. It's the creativity side of it. But sometimes things turned out better than you think. Sometimes things fail, and that's part of the process.
If you don't try it, you're not going to get the shot. So you got to try it either way. So no secret ones?
No, that's it.
All right, now that that's over, we're going to go outside. We're going to hop in the Unicorn. He's finally going to let me drive it. The day is here, ladies and gentlemen.
RC cars are great. Thanks, HBI.
Oh, my dreams. Well, I know we walked off screen, but we're back because Gymkhana Files, the first 2 episodes are up right now on Amazon Prime. So if you want to see this man's backstory with Gymkhana and everything that goes into Gymkhana, get an Amazon Prime account and check out these videos. The next 2 will be out on Friday. And while we're here, you should comment below what your favorite Gymkhana moment was.
Well, maybe I didn't like something you liked, so we'd like to know what that is.
Yeah, maybe we'll go in for an hour and talk shit to you in the comments.
But just to clarify, Gymkhana Files, 2 episodes a week for 4 weeks in a row. Gymkhana 10 is at the end of the last episode. So December 7th, end of episode 8, you will be able to see Gymkhana 10. And then 10 days later, Hoonigan's YouTube channel. But see it first on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, people get that exclusive. And I think we got 3 more tangent videos coming every Monday.
Can I walk off screen? Thank you.
Can you just make me disappear? Like, I'm just gonna sit right here and just make me disappear.
I like tangents.
I like tangents too. It's sad that we put it away, but I'm glad it's back, so I'm not sad anymore.